Yeah, if you want to wait a couple of minutes, fine. That's fine too. I'm okay.
Yeah, that should be fine. So yeah, first of all, a warm welcome to OIC training by Unogeeks. So today is the first session for your batch. So I'd like to introduce myself. This is Prasad. I have 15 years of real-time work experience, and I'm currently working as a principal consultant at one of the top US-based product company. Okay, and prior to this, I've worked for top US-based consulting companies, and for the past 6 years, I've been working primarily in OIC. Earlier, it was referred to as ICS. Okay, so there was an ICS had only the integration component, and that was there for a couple of years. And then Oracle has released OIC, incorporating or adding a couple of more cloud services to what we usually call as ICS. Okay, so and I've started working in ICS, and I've moved on to OIC 3 years back, and I've been doing this for close to 5 years now. And I've also got quite a bit of experience as a Fusion technical consultant, especially in a Fusion ERP and HCM cloud implementation projects. That's about me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So can you just say a line about yourself, Bala? What is your
Prasad. Yes, Prasad. So my name is Bala Nachmuthu. I am based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So probably in the industry around 25 plus years, mainly on the EBS side.
Okay.
So I have been on both supply chain, functional consulting, as well as the Oracle technical consulting.
Okay.
So I work for a US-based consulting company who practice both in EBS and Fusion technologies.
Okay.
So our company is trying to promote a lot of our internal consultants to be more comfortable with the integration technologies, and then maybe some of the functional modules as well. As a point, my goal is to have some basics on OIC and ultimately some certifications so that I can keep going. So that's my goal, Prasad.
Okay.
Looking few companies, to be honest with you. So I thought, your agenda or the details of the course, I thought maybe it covers a few things that I'm looking for the certification. So
okay,
that's how I have chosen you. So
yeah, thanks, Bala.
Yeah, sure.
So this is what I have on agenda for today. So do let me know in case I'm going too fast or too slow. We can adjust the pace as per your convenience.
Yes.
So yeah, before I talk about what exactly is Oracle Integration Cloud, let me spend a few minutes to explain why do we need a product like OIC in first place. We already have quite a few integration products available, right? We have the SOA integration technologies. We've got Delboomi, we've got MuleSoft. Delboomi is of no comparison to OIC, but I keep getting this question from some of the students asking me to compare integration products available in the market. So I'll touch upon that as well at a later point. So first, we'll try to understand why do we need a product like OIC? What are the integration challenges that exist in today's world with cloud everywhere? You see cloud everywhere today, right? It was not the case probably 5 or 10 years back. So what are the new integration challenges that has brought about? We'll discuss those challenges, and I'll explain how OIC as a premier PaaS integration product offered by Oracle. It is a PaaS integration product as a service integration product offered by Oracle. I'll explain how this solves those integration challenges. And then we talk about the components involved in OIC. So in OIC, there are 3 key components, in fact 4, but 3 components we need to worry about, especially as a developer. One of them is integrations, which everyone is aware of. So you can build integrations to make systems talk to each other. And you can build different types of integrations, using different integration styles. You can achieve a different use cases as per the requirements of the client. But apart from integrations, You also have a couple of more cloud services called VBCS and PCS.
Mhm.
VBCS stands for Visual Builder Cloud Service, Visual Builder Cloud Service, and this cloud service typically helps you to build web and mobile applications.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you build a web or a mobile application, say for example an expense report application or say an AR invoice application, that is well, if that web application or a mobile application needs an approval process, then you will be using a PCS, which is called as a process cloud service, to build those approval or custom business process to support a web application that you have built using VBCS. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll talk about why exactly clients are using, or clients might have to use VBCS and PCS as a combination. I'll touch upon that at a later point.
Mhm.
But a simple reason is, if just to give you, since you said you've got 25 plus years of experience, I think it would be very easy for you to understand what I'm going to say now.
Yep.
In ERP, billing works on the basis of users. Okay. But in OIC,
Mhm.
billing works on the basis of messages per hour. So what this means is, in case, say there is an application, so think of it as an AR invoice application. Okay. And a specific client has around 200 users. Think of them as sales officers or field officers. And all they have to do is log into a specific screen or an application and submit an AR invoice request. Okay.
Right.
And if you take this use case, one straightforward way to handle this is register all those 200 members as users in ERP Cloud and pay that heavy amount to Oracle, because in ERP, the moment you register a new user, billing goes up. That's one
Right.
straightforward way. That's one
Right.
straightforward but expensive way. And you've got
Right.
one more problem with that as well. You've got junk data, right? So those 200 users say they don't do it in the right way when they raise a request. So probably 2 or 3 out of the 10 requests they raise often get some problems and they get rejected. So you will end up with those 3 junk records, and you end up paying heavy amount to Oracle. So what's a workaround, or what how can you build a cleaner solution to avoid that? You can get an integration specialist, build a VBCS application, which would look very close to AR invoice screen in ERP. Because remember, those 200 users need not use any functionality in ERP apart from just submitting a invoice request. So in such case, you can just quickly build a web application, get an integration specialist, ask him to build a web application, and the page should exactly look like how an AR invoice page looks like in ERP Cloud. Register those 200 users as users in OIC, not in ERP. That way you avoid the billing. And yeah, even if you register 200 or say 1,000 users in OIC, it doesn't matter, because you're going to pay the bill based on messages per hour. So those 200 users will log into VBCS and submit an invoice request instead of logging into ERP. And when they submit a request, that has to go through approval process, and you can quickly build it using PCS. You've got enough options available here. You can have multi-layer approval. You can set up all those options that you typically need in approval process, like escalation, reminders, expiration options, notifications, etc. And only after all the approvals are obtained, we can push the invoice request to ERP Cloud. And
Right.
how do we do it? We can directly do it from PCS, or we can invoke an integration from PCS, and we can, from an integration, we can kick off a REST API and pass it on to load it into the ERP Cloud. Just to give you a high level overview of how
Right.
these components might be used by clients.
So
And
basically
I've built some, yeah.
basically they complement each other either as a separate entity or a combination of all three.
Perfectly, exactly. That's a point that I'm trying to make. Yeah,
Yeah.
these 3 components. The beauty of OS is they can talk to each other, and that's what makes it a best product in the market.
Okay.
Okay, and we've got OS is available in 2 editions: a standard and enterprise editions. So I'll talk about those 2 editions, because sometimes client might reach out to you and ask what edition they need to opt for. So you should be in a position to say whether they have to go for standard or enterprise edition. I'll talk about this in this particular slide.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a high level overview of the course content, not exactly a high level, it will be a detailed overview, because what I believe is students should exactly know what they are signing up for. So if time permits, we'll do this today, or maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So to start off, why do we need a product like OIC in first place? Way back in 2009, so when Salesforce started offering their first CRM product in the cloud, so nobody would have thought that cloud will grow so big, right? So even Oracle was a late runner when it comes to cloud. So Oracle didn't invest time and effort into the cloud applications until late 2013 or 14. So, okay, that's why AWS is still leading in that space, because it has got that head start of 5 years.
Right.
So that's just a different story altogether. But
Right.
You see, wherever you see or you hear, you see cloud everywhere, right? So that has changed the IT landscape of the companies. So the typical way companies used to work is they used to buy the required infrastructure, get them installed on premise, have the administrators and the maintenance team look after them,
Exactly.
look after
Exactly.
the infrastructure. This was a conventional way. But now most of the clients, most of them have already moved to cloud. So first of all, why are customers preferring to move to cloud? Because they can convert the capital expenditure into operational expenditure. So if I am a company, if I am running a company, and if I have to say install everything on premise, I'll have to put up a huge capital expenditure upfront. I'll have to buy those servers, and sometimes I might not even know how much of a compute power or a database storage I would need, right? So I
Yep.
would have to consider all those factors, spend those millions of dollars, get the infrastructure, have them installed, and have a maintenance team look after it. So which is like a wastage of, no, not a wastage exactly, but it's like a huge capital expenditure upfront and an additional maintenance activity. And customers have realized that they could use that money and effort elsewhere to improve their business and move on to cloud, because the cloud gives them an option to convert that capital expenditure into operational expenditure. Meaning,
Yeah.
if you move to cloud, you pay only for what you use. Okay, so that's one of the prime reason why clients are moving to cloud. Initially, most of them were skeptical, especially the ones in financial services and healthcare sector, where uh, data is quite sensitive data that they're holding. But over a period of time, I believe that clients have come to the reality that yes, the security framework that the cloud companies offer is really top class. Yes, you might hear once in a data breach once in a while, but it's not something that happens on a daily basis. So clients have got enough confidence and they've started moving to cloud. And this wave started 4 5 years back. Most of them are already in cloud, and there are very few companies who are still using on-premise applications or lying on-premise. And most of the clients that you see using on-premise will be from Gulf region, especially Europe and US. Most of them have been into cloud, and
Right.
and one of the prime reason for that is, if you take the case of EBS, say for example, EBS, since you can install it on-premise, you get access to database, you get access to file server, and you can customize it left, right, and center. You can make it work the way you want it. So what clients have done is they've customized it to make it follow the business process that they actually do. Instead of aligning their business process with the standard process of the industry, they've made EBS work as per their requirement.
Mhm.
And that's why it's now getting really difficult for them with those heavy customizations in place. They're finding it difficult to move to cloud.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we have some of the applications of the cloud, applications of the client sitting in cloud, and some of them lying on premise, what are the challenges that are brought in by these by the innovation that happened in the form of cloud? So there are three key challenges. How do you integrate one cloud application with another cloud application, say from a same vendor? So if you take Oracle alone, It has got a 20 plus cloud offerings. ERP and HCM cloud are the key. Okay. So how do you make them talk to each other? HCM cloud and ERP cloud, because we are talking about cloud applications or making cloud applications talk to each other. That's challenge one. Challenge two, how do you make one cloud application from Oracle system talk to another non-Oracle system? That's again something sitting in cloud. Say, for example, ERP cloud with Salesforce. So if you ask why do I have to integrate Salesforce with ERP cloud in first place? There are thousands of clients out there who are using Salesforce CRM as their main customer relationship management system,
Right.
and they are also using ERP for various reasons. Salesforce, it's quite cheap, dead cheap when compared to ERP, and it's very easy to use as a product.
Right. You're convenient.
But very convenient. But if companies think of using Salesforce to maintain their ERP or a HCM, it doesn't work out. So every product has got its own unique what do you call strengths, right? So companies use Salesforce as their CRM system so that it will be easy for business users to log in and create a customer whenever they get a new inquiry or whenever they sell something to us to a customer. But to maintain their ERP cycles or HCM, they would be using a robust product like Oracle ERP or HCM Cloud, right? Because they need all those features in the product.
Mm-hmm.
If you have such a client, then you will have to integrate Salesforce with ERP Cloud, right? So you cannot ask the business user who created a customer in Salesforce, can you please log in and do the same thing in ERP Cloud? It's like a repetitive task which can be avoided.
Yep.
So in such case, as soon as a customer is created in Salesforce, we have to replicate it in ERP Cloud real time without any time gap. So by the time a business user creates a customer in Salesforce and he signs out from Salesforce, and by the time he signs into ERP Cloud, he should be able to see the customer in ERP Cloud so that he could go ahead and create either a sales order or AR invoice, whatever might be required to complete the flow. So in fact, as part of the course content, I'll show you how to achieve this use case. In fact, this is one of the use cases that we're going to cover. So as soon as a customer is created in Salesforce, it will get created in ERP Cloud on the fly without any manual intervention.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's challenge 2. And challenge 3 is some of the companies, when they move to cloud, they don't wake up one morning and say, let's move all the 30 modules that we are using in e-business suite, move all of them to cloud. So they take a piecemeal approach. So they move either the financials or HCM first into cloud to test the waters or to see if cloud really works for them or not. And then probably they might want to move other products into cloud as well. Or it could be that there might be some modules wherein they have heavy customizations which can never be moved to cloud. So we are end up with a situation wherein you have some applications sitting in cloud and some applications on-premise. So how do we integrate cloud application with on-premise applications? That is challenge 3.
Right.
How do you integrate 2 cloud applications from a single vendor, 2 cloud applications from different vendors, and a cloud application with an on-premise application? So these are the 3 key integration challenges that we have.
Right.
And yeah, these are the points that I've mentioned here. So legacy style integration, it usually is too complex. It used to be point-to-point based integrations, and it doesn't work as expected. And data couldn't be easily moved from cloud to on-premise and vice versa. This is again one of the main criteria that the companies need in today's world. And any integration product that you take in the market is that there are very good products, I must say, like MuleSoft available in the market. But how do they fare when compared to OIC? You cannot achieve the business process automation with application integration in those products. Okay, you might see some advanced features or might see some additional features in products like MuleSoft or others, but they don't give you the capability. They don't have the capability of PCS and VBCS. Okay, that's one thing that makes OIC stand out.
Yeah.
So the business process automation was not aligned earlier, but this can be solved with the help of OIC.
Yeah.
And there's one more cloud service called analytics, which gives you a cross-departmental or applicational view. So if I log into OIC instance, so I'll share the access of this OIC instance and the credentials as well. So when you sign in, on the navigator, you see three key cloud services, the integrations. This is where you build the integrations. Process, this is a process cloud service, and VBCS, Visual Builder Cloud
VBCS.
Service.
Okay.
Yeah, these three. And apart from these three, you've got insights as well, which claims that you get a cross departmental view, which will help the companies to monitor the process. But as a developer or as an integration specialist, we rarely use this. This is something for clients to worry about.
Okay.
And OSI solves all these challenges. And one of the things that you need to be aware of in OSI is it follows a configuration-based approach, meaning a zero-code approach. And what that means is whether you want to build integration or an approval process or a web application, you can do it without writing a single line of code. So for example, if you have to build the integration, you go into integrations work area. And say, for example, if you take this particular service, let me deactivate it so that I can open it in edit mode. So if you look at if you look at the surveys, if you look at this integration flow, you can build these integration flows using a UI approach. Meaning, you see, whenever I put mouse on the line, it gives me a plus icon, and if I click on it, I will be able to search for the component I want to add. So, what is it that you want to do here? So, say for example, if you take the use case of creating a customer from Salesforce in ERP Cloud, how would the flow look like? The flow should look something like this, right? So you receive say customer details from Salesforce, and then you do a transformation. You use a mapper, and then you send it to ERP Cloud, right?
Yeah.
So in this, to build this particular integration flow, or any integration flow for that matter, the first step required is to create the connections. So for this, if you take this use case, like creating a customer in ERP Cloud, whenever it is created in Salesforce, you would need two connections. So you will first start off the integration build. By going into connections, you create a connection. And when you try to create a connection, it'll ask you to pick an adapter. So what application do you want to talk to? So here you will have to search for Salesforce, pick it up, pick up the Salesforce adapter, enter the Salesforce credentials and the URL, and then the connectivity gets established between OIC and Salesforce. And you do the same thing for ERP Cloud as well. Okay, so the first step is to create connections to the source and target systems, or whatever systems you might want to interact with in the flow. And after the connectivity is established, and since we're talking about connections, if you look at here, you've got 100 plus adapters given by Oracle, pre-built adapters. And the beauty of these adapters is, so they abstract much of the complications for us, right? So if I have to talk to, say, IBM DB2, I don't need to know the language that DB2 understands. So the same applies for any other system. So I don't need to know what language the source system or the systems understand. So all I have to do is pick the adapter, create a connection, establish connectivity, and then go to the integrations and use the connection to talk to that particular system. So in this case, I'll create two connections, one with Salesforce adapter and another with ERP Cloud adapter. And then I go to integration flow and start building the integration. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And if you look at the adapters, there are different types of adapters. If you search for Oracle, there are 20 plus adapters. You can connect to cloud databases, ADW or ATP, autonomous data warehouse or autonomous transaction processing. You've got CPQ cloud. You can use Oracle database to talk to on-premise database, Oracle EBS application, EBS adapter, ERP cloud. So you've got plenty of options there. You've got SAP, you've got a Salesforce. So you've got most of the applications that most of the adapters for most of the applications that clients use on a real-time basis. Yeah,
all the industry standard
all the industry standards. Yes, you have service now, you have SAP success factors, etc. And apart from this, you will also have the social media adapters. Say, for example, client is using marketing cloud or a sales cloud, and they want to run a marketing campaign. So they can quickly build an integration to tweet the products, or and they can also post something on the Facebook or Twitter, or they can post something to LinkedIn as well. So you've got all those social media adapters as well. So every month you see a new adapter getting added to the list. So it's maturing quite well as a product, if you ask me. And you might get a question that what if I don't have an adapter here for the application that I want to talk to? Okay, so you've got ABC application, you want to talk to that, or you want to connect to it from OAC, and I don't find an adapter here. How do I handle it? To help you with that, it has given you two adapters called SOAP and REST. Okay, so these two adapters can help you to connect to a SOAP service or a REST API, and with either of them, with either a SOAP service or a REST API, you can talk to that application in an indirect way. Okay, so have you got exposure to the SOAP and REST services?
Very basic. We used a little bit of REST in EBS. In fact, we were writing some interfaces to other non-EBS applications. We were using the word SOA, integrated SOA gateway.
Okay.
So we used a little bit REST, a little bit JSON data format and everything.
Okay.
But you can go your own way. I don't want you to cut through that, so I may miss something. You can go on your own way.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Thanks, Amit, for dialing in.
Sorry, I'm sorry it's so late. So you mean these two adapters in addition to the database and FTP, right? So those should anyways be there, right? And in application, if they allow database and FTP.
Yeah, a database FTP. You've got FTP adapter. You've got a database adapter available. You can use this to talk to FTP or a database servers. But
if the application allows, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if that application exposes a SOAP service or a REST API, which will internally do something within the database. I see where you're coming from. So if I invoke that REST API, if in that REST API they are trying to modify the database of that application, yes, that should go through fine. If that is what you're asking about.
No, that's fine. I mean, I just want to make sure the database can be connected to any application if it's available, even if it's an XYZ or ABC application, right? We can use a database and FTP adapter, provided they are available.
Yeah. Yes, provided. Yes. Okay. So yeah, we create a connection first, and then the required connections first, and then we go ahead and create the integrations. And when you try to create an integration, again, you can create one. And when you try to create an integration, it asks you to pick a style, and you can create integrations using different styles. So I'll talk about these integration styles in a moment. But for now, let me just pick a style. Go ahead and create an integration. I'll call it as I will call this as Salesforce to ERP demo. Yeah, you create an integration flow, and yeah, by default it'll have a vertical layout. And yes, you can add in components in a vertical fashion. Or I prefer changing this to horizontal because, well, as the integration grows big, you will have to keep scrolling up and down multiple times. But if you change this to horizontal, you get to see a major portion of integration without a need to scroll through. So again, it's up to you. So the point I want to highlight here is, if you want to build out the integration, all you have to do is click on the plus icon, select the connection that you have created, configure it, and go ahead and build the integration flow. So I click on the plus icon here, and I want to say receive the feed from Salesforce. So what do? I'll come here and search for the Salesforce connection. Of course, we haven't created one yet, but you search for Salesforce connection here, you configure that node first. And then what do? You click on the plus icon again, and then you pick up the ERP cloud connection, and you get a mapper added automatically by OIC. And in the mapper, you map the fields from Salesforce to ERP cloud. Then you will activate the flow, and then you test it. Okay, so that's how it works. So OIC follows this configuration-based approach, meaning UI-based approach. You can build out your integration flow just by dragging and dropping the components. So if you click on this, you get to see the trigger connections that you have created. Again, they're grouped by adapter that you have used. So you click on them, you get to see the connections, you can drag and drop them and build out your integration flow. Okay, so that's what this point means, but that yes, it follows a zero code approach. And it's easy to integrate cloud applications with on-premise. How do we do it? There is a concept called connectivity agent in OIC. You can use the connectivity agent to make cloud applications talk to on-premise applications. So you see agents here. You click on this. This agent, it is called as a connectivity agent, and this connectivity agent helps you to establish connectivity with SaaS applications and on-premise applications. Okay, so that's one of the this is again one of the key differentiator when you compare OIC with other integration products available in the market. Very few integration products does have this capability. Okay, yeah, I'll explain this in the course content again, but yes, as part of one of the use case, I'll show you the entire flow as to how to create an agent, how to download it, and how to set it up in the on-premise machine, and how to connect to the database running in the on-premise machine, and how do you connect it with. I'll show you how to connect it with a cloud application. Okay, so that you understand the entire flow as to how to set up agent and use it.
Okay.
Okay. And that brings us to what is OIC. OIC, as I mentioned earlier, it is not a single cloud service. Yeah, it is a unified cloud service which has got 4 cloud services plugged in. You've got integrations work area, and you've got PCS, you've got VBCS, and you also have analytics work area. And these 3 would be the key. You would be spending most of your time building components using integrations, PCS, and VBCS. And to be frank, 8 out of 10 projects only use the integrations work area. And it used to be it will be only 2 or 3 projects that might use a PCS and VBCS. But we do still cover these 2 components in depth to the level that you need to know, so that even in case you have to build an end-to-end solution using VBCS, PCS, and integrations, you will be in a position to do that.
Okay.
And as a subject area, also integration is quite vast when compared to PCS and VBCS. Okay. And coming to the integration work area. So this is the integration work area. So you go to log into the instance, navigator, click on integrations. That will take you into the integrations work area. Integrations, a designer work area. So if you have to build the integrations, this is the screen you use. And to build the integrations, you can use all the components that you see here. Probably I'll talk about each one of them in the navigation session as to what each component is and how do you use them in the integration build. But this is a page where you design your integrations. You create a connection, design the integration flow, and if required, you will use a connectivity agent if it's a SaaS to on-premise connectivity. Packages help you to deploy the integrations from one instance to another instance. Say, for example, you build 50 integrations in a dev instance and you need to deploy them to SAT or UAT. How do you migrate them? You do it with the help of packages. We'll talk about the migration, deployment, and maintenance of integrations in a separate session altogether. And you do have an option to create and use lookups within the integration. So this works pretty much the same way as a lookup, the way lookups work in ERP Cloud. Right? In ERP Cloud, why do you use lookups for? You typically use them to store a configurable values, right? So if you have a value that might change in future, to avoid hard coding it, we capture that value in a lookup and then we pull the values from there and use it in the components, right? Technical components. You can do it the same way here as well. So you can maintain the mappings from between different systems using lookups, and there are quite a few things that you could do here. Okay, so this is a designer page where you typically build your integrations out, and you've got libraries as well. So if you've got a JavaScript library, you can register it here, and you can only register JavaScript libraries. Nothing else is allowed. Say, for example, if you have written a JavaScript function which will concatenate two strings together, you can register it as a library, and then you can use that in the integration flows wherever you need it. So I've taken concatenation strings as an example, but it could be any JavaScript function. It could be a function to format the date or any other functionality. So that doesn't mean OSC doesn't give you out-of-the-box functionality to concatenate strings or formatting for format a date. You've got quite a few functions available in the mapper, but just on top of it, if you want to add in some other common functionality that you might need across integration flows, instead of building out that logic in each and every integration, you can create a JavaScript library, register it here, and refer to it in all the integration flows wherever you need it. Okay. And yeah, you build the integrations in this navigation work area and you monitor them from here. Because after you build the integrations, what do? You will pass on the integration links to the client and they will typically invoke it, right? And you yourself might also do some unit testing to see if it's working as expected or not. So, and what that means is a request get created for the integrations. For every integration run, or every time you invoke an integration, there will be a request that gets captured, and you can view it by going into the monitoring screen. So you go into monitoring, go into integrations work area, integrations again, integrations, and you will be able to see the integrations that are kicked off in the last 1 hour, especially. So you can change the filters, change it from last 1 hour to last 3 days. Not sure if I have anything to display here, but that's okay. You can, if you kick off an integration, you can monitor it from here. Say, for example, if you have a specific integration. Say, for example, let's take this REST API, Hello World REST API. All this does is, if I kick it off, this API will just take a name as an input, and it will prefix hello to that name and sends it back as a response. So we'll see how to build this REST API to start off. And if I test it, okay, you've got back a response, and you could see the instance created. So this instance is nothing but instance ID is nothing but a request. Think of it as a request ID that gets generated in ERP Cloud or EBS. So, and you will also get to see the entire flow. See when was it triggered, what happened after that, and when was the response sent out. And if you enable tracing, you will also be able to find out a payload getting captured at each and every node. So we'll talk more about this or in detail when we build the first integration. But all I wanted to show you is that you see an instance ID generated. So after you build the integrations from this designer page, if you want to monitor them, you can do it by going into the monitoring screen. Go to monitor integrations work area, and you will see that, yes, there is a request that is kicked off. And you click on it, you will be able to see the integration flow. Okay, you could see that it has been triggered. And yeah, by the way, I was doing for the sake of one of the YouTube video, I was invoking a SOAP service within a REST service just to display how to do it. But yeah, all we're doing is prefixing hello here in this mapper, and we are sending that back as a response. Okay, so you get to see the integration, or you can monitor the integrations from OIC directly. And yeah, going back to the slide, so it uses configuration-based approach. First of all, with integrations, you can connect SaaS to SaaS and SaaS to on-premise applications. And it uses configuration-based approach, meaning you can use UI-based approach to build any components, integrations, a PCS or a VBCS component, which means you can go live faster. And what if it is a SOAP service or a SOA service that you're building? What do? You typically build it in JDeveloper and then you deploy it to a WebLogic server, right? But here you don't have to do it. So you build the components directly from the browser. Any component you build in OIC, you will be directly doing it from a web browser. Okay, so you go to you log into OIC instance, you go to integrations work area, and you build your integrations here. And same is applicable for other two cloud services as well. So you build them within the web browser, you activate them directly here. There's no point, no concept of deploying or anything. So what you get here is a web-based point and click experience, and you've got a lot of out-of-the-box functionality in terms of pre-built adapters, right? So we've seen a few of them earlier. Like if you want to connect to ABC system or any system, it's quite easy. Go to connections, pick up that adapter and create a connection and move on. Okay, so that functionality is available. And whenever you have to create a new integration flow, you're not on your own. You don't have to start building your integration straight up. Instead, what you can do is you can pause for a moment and visit a particular site called Oracle Marketplace. So this is a sort of an exchange where you can search if there are any pre-built flows available. So if you search for Oracle Marketplace, there are some companies out there in the market who make a living out of this. So all they do is they build the integration flows for common use cases, and they publish them to Cloud Marketplace, and they offer them as a paid applications or paid flows. But the price would be very minimal when compared to the effort that you spend to build out those entire end-to-end flows. So you can search for the products, pick up the cloud product that you're interested in. Say, for example, if you're interested in Financials Cloud, click on it, and you get to see the integration flows. Okay, so you see that we have a foreign exchange loader. So you can use this integration to load in exchange rates into ERP Cloud. And you notice that some of the applications are free, and some of them might be paid, like this one. But as I said, yeah, the price would be very minimal, and clients would be willing to pay for this. Okay, because the applications that you get here would be of good quality. You don't have to spend effort building or testing those applications. They work as expected. Yeah, you might do a basic sanity check, but they work very well as they work as if they were out of the box applications.
So Prasad, okay. So they already pre-built using the existing pre-built adapters.
Exactly, pre-built adapters, and these are the pre-built integration flows. So with those pre-built adapters, they would have built these integration flows. Say, for example, if you take this one, so what will this integration flow does? It will load the journals into ERP Cloud using an FBDI process. FBDI, I'm not sure if you guys already know it. It is one of the very popular data load option available in ERP Cloud. Meaning, if I want to load something into ERP Cloud, I will have to use FBDI approach for that, file-based data import. In simpler terms, it is nothing but downloading an Excel template given by Oracle, filling in the data, and I'll have to log into the application and run loader and import job. That is how an FBDI works. FBDI is typically used that process is executed manually by technical consultants when the implementation project goes on. But post go live, if clients would like to still use the source systems from where they're getting the feed, which has to be loaded into ERP cloud, that's when it needs to be automated. And at that point in time, you will build integrations like this, wherein a journals file, which is uploaded to Amazon S3 bucket, needs to be pulled and loaded into ERP cloud. So Amazon S3, it is not one of the common use cases that you do. Yes, there will be quite a few use cases that you come across wherein you have to do the scheduled load into ERP cloud applications. It could be journals, it could be AR invoices, or any application, any data entity for that matter. But usually we'll be using SFTP rather than Amazon S3 bucket. But just to show you how this works, so if you click on the application, it gives you the detailed documentation as to what has been plugged into the process flow. You get to see the screenshots, and if you open it, you see what exact logic has been plugged into the integration flow. You can go through it, and if you think it fits a client use case, go ahead, and all you need to do is a couple of mouse clicks, click on Get Application here. That will download an IAR file or a PER file, integration archive or a package archive, and then you come back into the integration, come back into your OS instance, and you will use the import option here to load in that file. As simple as that. Once you load in the application, you will see the file flow, integration flow gets imported, and any connections used in that integration flow will also get imported, and any other component that is used in the integration flow will also get imported, not just the connections. So that helps in terms of migration. So when you have to migrate integration from one instance to another, you don't have to worry about the underlying components. When you migrate an integration, all of these components that are used within that component, within that integration flow, will get migrated automatically. Not the agents, but others. Okay. So so you can search for the application here, search for the integration flow. If it's already available, get it, import it into OIC, and move on. Okay. And it's quite easy to deploy and maintain the integrations. As I mentioned, you have a concept called packages. You can use the packages to deploy the integrations in bulk, or you can migrate one integration at a time if you want. Okay, and it's easy to maintain them as well. So coming to integration styles, whenever you have to create a new integration, so for example, I try to create a new one. You have to pick an integration style first. So this is one of the first step one of the first decision that you have to make. And how many integration styles are available? There are 6 styles available. Okay, so let me explain these integration styles on a high level. Again, we'll get into them. We'll talk about them in detail when we build integrations of each of these styles. So again, we'll be building integrations of each of these styles, not just one, but few of them. We'll be building, say, 3 or 4 app-driven orchestrations. We'll be building 1 or 2 of publish and subscribe to OS integrations, etc. So we talk about them in detail at that point. But let me give you a high-level overview here. When to use which style? So if you have a use case wherein you have to connect 2 applications and only 2 applications. Okay, so if all you need is to route a message from one application to another one, you can use basic routing. And as you can make out, you can connect only one source with only one target. But even if the requirement changes tomorrow to say, for example, you connected A to B, and client at a later point said that A to B is fine, but could you connect B to C as well? Then if the requirement changes, and if you have to deliver the message to 2 destinations or 2 destination systems, then a basic routing might not work for you. So in such case, what you have to do, you have to recreate the entire integration flow as an app-driven orchestration. This gives you ability to integrate as many source and target systems as you need, and it will also give you all the features available in integrations work area. I'll talk about this in a moment. But the basic routing as you can make out from the name itself, it has got a few limitations, and that's why I strongly recommend not to use this. And even Oracle is popping up a message now saying that please don't use basic routing, use app-driven orchestration, because they're going to deprecate this soon. So there's no point in spending too much time on something that will be deprecated soon. So yeah, it was for a basic common use cases, basic use cases wherein a message needs to be routed from one application to another application. But don't use this, okay? Because you don't know when the requirement changes. And if you want to, if you have to transfer files from one SFTP to another, one SFTP server to another one, and if you have to transfer the files in a seamless and a secure manner, it says secure because FTP adapter, it supports a PGP encryption out of the box. So what is PGP encryption? It stands for pretty good privacy, and it is one of the encryption modes. Not one of the, it is the only encryption mode that FTP adapter supports out of the box. So yes, with the help of FTP adapter, you can deal with encrypted files. So when we build the file transfer service, I'll spend 15-20 minutes about PGP encryption. I'll also show you how that works. What is a public key? What is a private key? How do you encrypt files and decrypt them? And how do you upload those keys into FTP adapter? So we'll see all of it in the file transfer service when we build the file transfer service. But if all you want to do is transfer files from one SFTP server to another one, you will use this style to build that integration. And if you want to say publish a message from one application and send it to a couple of other applications, then you will use this publisher subscriber styles, wherein you publish a message to OIC channel first with the help of publish to OIC integration style. So as you can make out from the diagram, you can the publish to OIC integrations can receive the message from applications, and then it publishes that to the OIC channel. And yeah, the message is not delivered to the destination yet because it only reaches the OIC publisher or subscriber channel. You can think of this as a queue, but you don't get to see or access this OIC channel to see what messages are pending in there. Okay, and you can build another subscribe to OIC integration or another integration using this style. And when you build an integration of this style, it'll ask you to pick a publisher. So you'll pick the first one that you have built. And by picking the publisher, subscribe to OIC integration gets triggered automatically whenever a message is published by the publisher. Okay, and this integration gets triggered automatically. So it picks up the message from the queue or from the publisher subscriber channel, and then it sends it out, delivers it to the destination. So that destination could be a database, or it could be an FTP server, or it could be any other application. It doesn't really matter what the destination system is. Okay, but one thing to be aware of is, in a single subscribe to OIC integration, you can send out a message to only one destination. Okay, so if I have to explain this with a use case, say for example, a client is using ERP cloud and OTM. Okay, so a client is using order management in ERP cloud, so wherein they book the sales orders, but the actual shipment of that sales order needs to happen from OTM. So in such case, what do? You build one integration of type publish to OIC. You subscribe to a sales order book business event, and that will publish the message to OIC channel. And you'll build another integration of subscribe to OIC style. So whenever a sales order is booked, a business event gets raised, a sales order book business event, and this integration gets triggered automatically. No manual intervention there. Message reaches OIC channel. And the moment message reaches OIC channel, if there are any subscribers to that publisher, they get triggered automatically. And they'll pick up the sales order details from OIC channel, and will probably invoke a web service here to pass on the details to OTM. OTM exposes quite a few web services out of the box, right? So you invoke one of them to pass on the sales order details to OTM. So this is just one of the use cases, but yeah, just to give you or show the potential of these two services work together.
Okay. Yeah, Prasad, I have a quick question here. So can you have more than one subscriber for one publish?
Yeah, you can.
Event?
So then, yeah, we can have, and that will be typically required when you have to deliver the message to multiple destinations. So, for example, I said delivering the message to OTM, right? So let me give you one more use case. Say whenever item is updated in ERP cloud, the item details need to be synced back into an on-premise database table. And at the same time, yes, it needs to be synced to a database table. And it also needs to be placed in an SFTP server so that another downstream application comes and picks it up and process the file. So if you have to say deliver a message to FTP server, database server, or multiple applications, you will have to create as many subscribe to OS integrations. Okay, because you have a limitation of only one destination here. Okay, does that help?
No, I got confused. So you're saying one destination, but then you have multiple out subscription. Not
one destination means, say for example, I need to send the item updates. Say for example, let's take the same use case of sales.
Say
order.
Item got updated, right?
Order
So item got, sorry.
Okay.
So item got updated.
Item
You're saying
got
one, I suppose I have to send to OTM, and the same item I can send to a database, right? So that is possible, you're saying, right?
Yeah. So if I have to say when item is updated, update item details in on-prem database. This is one. And what's the second thing I want to do? I want to send the details to say application, another application, maybe. Okay, or maybe OTM itself. So if I have to achieve this use case, so whenever item is updated, these two things should happen. So what do you do in that case? You will create one publish to OS integration. And what do you do in that case? You will subscribe to item update business event. Okay. And when you subscribe to item update business event, whenever item is updated in ERP, the business event gets raised. And since you have a publish to OS integration subscribe into that business event, this publish to OS integration gets triggered automatically. And what will this publish to OS integration do? It will publish the item details to OIC publisher or subscriber channel. Okay, so this is like half the job is done, right? So we had to deliver the item details to two destinations, but they have reached only the OIC publisher or subscriber channel so far. And then what do? You will create your first subscribe to OIC integration. And what do you do in that? You will subscribe to this publisher. Subscribe to above publisher. So you would have created one integration, right? Publish to OIC style. So you will subscribe to that publisher. And in this, in the subscribe to OIC integration, what do? You will use a database adapter or database connection, which is created using database adapter, and you will merge the details. Merge the item details. And even if I want to send a message to another system, I cannot do it in subscribe to OS integration. That's because I can only have one invoke here. I can only configure one system here. I can only invoke one destination. It could be a database, FTP, or something else. I cannot have multiple. So for that reason, what I have to do, but I need to deliver the message to two destinations, a database and OTM. Then I'll create one more subscribe to OS integration. And in this one also, I'll subscribe to the same publisher. Yes, you could have multiple subscribers to the same publisher. And what do you do in this case? Instead of invoking a database connection, you will invoke OTM connection. Okay, and you will send the item details.
So if I understand you correctly, in one subscriber process, you cannot have more than one invoke to a service. Is that what Is that a
Correct.
good?
Exactly. So let me create one subscribe to OS integration to clear the air more. Okay, it says there are no publishers. So that's okay. But if I move this around, so I'm seeing this error because there are no published to OS integrations available yet in the environment. Okay, but what do you see in here? So you see that a publisher list will come up. You will pick up a publisher, and that will get added as a trigger. But if you look at the invoke here, there is only one node, meaning you can invoke only one connection. It can be a database, it can be OTM, or it can be any connection. But if you want to send a message to multiple systems, you cannot do it with a single integration, single subscribe to OS integration. Okay, got it?
Yeah, I got it. Thanks. And again, you have multiple subscriber. You have concept of message selector and all that. It's all there, right?
Yeah,
message selection.
When you have multiple subscribers, the way it works is all the subscribers get triggered at the same time whenever a message is published to OSC channel by the publisher. Okay, so all the subscribers get triggered automatically.
And we have that in an exercise, right? The publish subscribe.
Yeah, we have one of the use case with, yes, I'll show you how to create a publisher and a subscriber and how to use that.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
Yeah. And coming to the two key integration styles that we have. So that's how the publisher and subscriber works. Any questions, Bala, here? Any questions on the subscriber publisher?
So far, I think good. I think we will pick it up as you move with the rest of the classes.
Okay. Yeah, we do a hands-on exercise for to see how each of these style works, but I'm just trying to give you an overview at this point. Yeah. Okay, so we've got two more integration styles called app-driven and schedule. These two are the most frequently used integration styles, and you'll probably be using these two styles in 9 out of 10 use cases that you build. So the app-driven, it gives you all the features that are available in OIC. Like you can use exception handling, you can use the transformations, you can use switch, you can use the loops, you can do pre-processing and post-processing. So all the features that are available in OIC can be used, or they will be available to you if you pick up this style. So depending on the style that you pick up, or the style of the integration that you pick up will determine what features will be available to you when you build the integration. Okay, so the app-driven and schedule will give you access to all the features. And what exactly is the difference between these two? As you can make out from the diagram, only the trigger point is different. So if it's a scheduled orchestration, it's going to run based on a schedule, meaning you build this integration and you schedule it to run at a predetermined time. You schedule it to run at probably 3 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so you can again, when it comes to scheduling options, there are basic and advanced options available. We'll talk about them when we build our first scheduled orchestration. But yes, this will be a schedule and it runs on the basis of a schedule. But this app-driven orchestration, they will be driven by applications. Meaning, if you build out an integration flow like this, like say from Salesforce to ERP Cloud, the moment customer is created in Salesforce gives you the capability to invoke or send out outbound messages. So in that outbound message, we will invoke we'll place the integration that we create, and we're going to invoke the app-driven orchestration from a Salesforce so that a customer can be loaded into ERP Cloud. Okay, so integrations which are built using app-driven orchestration style needs to be explicitly triggered, or needs to be triggered from the applications. Whether it is an explicit trigger or how does it work out, it varies with the application. Okay. And okay, let's pause here for today, guys. We'll pick up VBCS and PCS tomorrow. So any questions? Any questions on what we covered so far?
So do you want to talk about the class timing? Is it okay, this class timing?
Yeah. Yeah, this timing is fine with me, and I checked with Bala as well. He's also fine with it.
Okay. About
So
on the
we'll have
weekends, same. Sorry. Go ahead.
yes. We
Yeah, go
will.
ahead, Bala. Or I don't know. Yeah,
No, I said hi to you. Looks like
oh,
only
hi,
you and
Bala.
me. Yeah.
It's a small class. I hope more people join, but it's good for us in a way.
Yeah, we can be more
undivided attention.
interactive. More interactive.
Yeah.
I mean, my world is like mostly the the fresh implementation within the ERP cloud, or some sort of a integration between current on-demand on-premise EBS to Oracle Cloud. So it could be like a one big mass load conversions, or it could be like a Prasad said, could be a trigger based. Something happens in EBS, we want to take that transaction to cloud, those kind of things, and some sort of a file transfers. So we could concentrate on that as we move along.
Yeah, I think I like the course content. I think Prasad is covering most of the scenarios, so I'm sure yours and mine, will be accommodated in his content. So, yeah.
Well, I've been doing this for 5 years now, so I know what are the most common use cases that we come across on every project. So there are few use cases that you do in every project, and there are few of them that might help you in a long run. So we have included them as well. And we have also designed course content in such a way that we cover all the key concepts in each work area. Say, for example, in PCS, you've got some components which you might not use, which you might never use, to be frank. There is something called as decision table, which you might, I can say with 99.99% probability that you will never use it. But we still cover that because, yes, it is one of the key concepts. And I didn't use it so far. That doesn't mean you might not come across a use case to use it. So yeah, we've designed course content very carefully. We'll try to cover all the use cases possible. Yes.
And one more suggestion, maybe Prasad, since you are having a good consulting experience, maybe some, without sharing the names of the clients and all, you can show how you designed a key integration, right? What was the use case, and how you accommodate, what was the design, something like that, so that people will know, right? For example, it's very simple. It looks very simple. You drag drop a service, but it may not be so simple, right? To achieve a task, you may have to do multiple services to follow a conventional or designed convention, right? So maybe that is something which you can give you an edge over others. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, sure, definitely. We will. So I've just shown you Hello World REST API in today's session. That doesn't mean the services are going to be that simple. We will build quite a few complex services, which will show you end-to-end flows. And yes, wherever possible, I do explain what was the use case I came across, and I'll show you how I implement it. If you look at the course content, there is one of the end-to-end solution that I mentioned in there, right? So that is actually one of the solutions that I implemented for the client recently. So VBCS to PCS to integration to ERP cloud, that is one of the use case end-to-end solution that we're going to build as part of the course content. So yeah, wherever I feel it's appropriate, I will definitely include the use case or explain what was the use case that I came across and how did I implement it.
Yeah. And also, if we can just touch base, I mean, you don't have to show, but touch base maybe with screenshots or something of how you source safe these integration, and what migration tools are generally used to migrate.
Yeah, I'll show you how to migrate and deploy them. Yeah, I'll show you. There's a separate tool that you need to use. I'll show you the deployment and the maintenance process.
Okay, but do we use like source safe control like SVN and others? Do we do that or no? To store
no,
these,
we don't. No, we don't normally use those source control tools. We normally, we normally, if required, you can download those archive files and store them if you want. But that's I don't see it being used in a real time basis.
So no governance. That's as such, man.
No, the governance it works in a different way. You've got versions, ability to create multiple versions within the OIC itself. So you don't need to rely on another versioning tool to help you with that. So you create an integration. When you want to make a change, you create it as a new version, so that the previous version will stay as is. So this is what you get with SVN, right? So yeah, you have the same versioning concepts in other key areas as well, PCS and VBCS.
And which is just last question. So the API gateway is also part of OIC, or is it a separate cloud? API gateway.
No, API cloud service. It's a different cloud service. It is not part of OIC. Yeah, it's a completely different cloud service. Yeah.
But generally, clients use both, right?
Sorry.
So, but in your real consulting experience, don't we use in conjunction with OIC?
No, we don't use it. There are quite a few standard SOAP and REST services given by Oracle. Probably in the third session we'll see the web services and how to discover the ones given by Oracle and how to use them. So we use them directly within the OIC. We don't need to rely on API cloud service to invoke something given by Oracle.
Okay.
So we don't need to use that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And also, probably you may be talking about data encryption. I heard it's a good demand for that.
I'll talk about the PGP encryption and decryption, how it works, and how OIC, especially the FTP adapter, supports it out of the box. I'll explain it in one of the sessions.
Right.
First of all, I'll talk about the encryption. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
First of all, I'll explain what is PGP, what is encryption, how does it work. Well, so we'll get a hang of it, and then I'll show you how you can plug that into an integration flow with the help of FTP adapter.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you also show the JWT authentication, like the OWASP, all that? Is it there? I don't know if it's
authentication. We typically use the basic authentication, but yeah, if required, I can try to explore and
that'll be great.
show you OAuth authentication, OAuth token. That should not.
But I think most of the things are using JWT these days, right? Most of the integrations. So,
not the ones that you build. Yeah, not the ones that you build in OIC. Yeah, if you go out of Oracle and if you look at the open source world or the generic web applications that use web frameworks that you see outside of OIC, yeah, they will be using JWT or OAuth tokens for authentication purpose. But in this one, we typically use or rely on the basic authentication itself, because the ERP cloud itself is still working on the basic authentication, right? So,
but if you have to call an external service which needs a JWT type of authentication, right? So OIC supports that, right? I mean, yeah.
OIC supports it. It definitely supports it. When you create a connection, it will tell you what authentication mechanism do you want to use for that specific connection. Yes, it supports it out of the box. You've got the option. And I'll also probably try to explore and show you how.
Maybe you can share a document if you don't. I know it will take some setups from your side also. A document or something diagram will also be good, right?
Okay, that explains how to do it.
Yeah, maybe we can do it, on our own. We can try on our own, right?
Oh, fine. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And also, just one last question, Prasad. You will be covering the UCM also, right? Universal Content Management.
UCM has got nothing to do with OIC, but I'll show you what exactly so UCM in simpler terms. Let me just spend a couple of minutes on that. So if you,
I don't know what is
UCM. For
example,
first I'll explain that and then I'll take this question. So every cloud application, ERP cloud applications, it comes with a content server. And how do you access it? It comes out of the box. You copy the ERP cloud URL, put a CS at the end. It stands for content server. And the content server, it is, as you can make out from the name itself, it can be used to store the files that you want to bring into cloud application. So whenever you want to exchange the data, whenever you want to load something into ERP or HCM cloud, or whenever you want to extract something from ERP or HCM cloud, you will be doing it through UCM or through a web center content or a content server. People
Maybe
refer
that's
to
what it
this.
is.
Yeah, people refer to this with multiple names. Some people call it content server. Some call it a WCC, web center content, and some people call it UCM. So this comes into picture when you do the FPDA loads manually. Earlier there was an explicit need to upload the file here and then load it and then run the loader. I'll talk about the UCM component in FPDA integration. I'll explain how it is used. But from an integration standpoint, if you kick off an FPDA job, you have something called as a bulk import option. When you kick it off, it internally takes care of uploading the file to UCM, and then it will kick off the loader job. So we don't need to know that it's happening in the background, but I'll explain how it works altogether.
Yeah, that should be enough. Yeah, at least some touch points.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. So we'll have sessions at the same time, 7 days a week. Is that fine, Bala? And Saturday and Sunday, can we go a bit longer than 1.5 hour session?
I think if it works for Prasad, Sandeep, I think.
Yeah, it works for me. I'm okay. So are you based in US as well, Bala?
Yes, Sandeep, I'm based in Pittsburgh.
Okay. I'm in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, okay.
Okay. So let's plan it out that way then. Yeah. So we'll spend 1.5 hour day per 1.5 hour per day, weekdays, and probably we can stretch on the weekends.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And also
Sounds
my
good.
goal was to get some certification, right? So not only get some hands-on experience, but
yeah,
I want to get the certification.
I will talk
same
about
with
it.
me. Yeah.
I'll talk about it in tomorrow's session.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe Bala, I don't know what's your pace, but I wanted to complete this earlier. Like 6 weeks, a bit long. Maybe
Yeah, I am
4
fine.
or 5
I am
weeks.
fine. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no reason to go like slow, but given whatever the time takes, number of hours that Prasad is planning out.
Yeah. So we can probably stretch a bit in our sessions, if Prasad's timing.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. We'll meet again tomorrow.
Thanks, Prasad. Thanks, Bala.
Thank you all. Thanks for Sandeep and Prasad. Thank you.
Thank you.